All right, platoon, fall in. It's the Joe and the Jarhead Show. As ever, I am the Joe. With me, as always,
Jarhead! Oh, it's going to be a good show.
It is.
It's going to be a great
Hasn't
show.
been a great week so far, but it's going to be a good show.
It's only Monday. How's it not been a great week?
Well, I mean, by week, I mean previous 7 days.
Oh, I was going to say, somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
A little bit, yeah.
It happens.
There was the dumb was kind of piling up at work today.
You know, when you work for the government, as long as we have, it's
I'm just saying.
rolls with the show, you know? All right, tonight's episode, we are rolling. Obviously, we have to talk about the mass shooting, but we're not just going to talk about it and beat it up. We've got the so what, and we've got what you need to know and what you can do about the mass shootings, and it's actually the easiest answer that we all should be doing.
Correct.
But there's a lot of other things going on in the news. When something like this happens, major news,
Everything else gets shoved aside.
yep, everything else, including Iran seizing more ships. They're still doing that.
Yep.
Hong Kong has completely shut down. This citywide shut down. And India is a nuclear power country, and they're picking a fight with another nuclear power country. And they're still 2020 Democrats doing their nonsense. Baltimore is still raging in crime. So lots to talk about.
Agreed.
Let's jump right in. We should probably start with mass shootings.
We should probably start with history.
History first. Let's do it.
Jarheads. You see what I got to work with, folks?
You're welcome.
So, on the theme of government overreach.
Nazi type.
Right. So this week in 1944, Anne Frank and her family were arrested. For those of you who don't know who Anne Frank was, please go read. Yeah, please go read the Diary of Anne Frank. At last I checked, it was still required reading.
It better be.
It better be, because that is not history that you can afford to be
Ignorant
forgetting.
of.
Yeah, you cannot be ignorant of that. So, quick recap: she and her family were Dutch Jews in occupied Holland in the Second World War. For almost the entire war, they hid in a sealed away secret upstairs room of a home, and they were betrayed. Well, the theory is they were betrayed. That there's a couple of different theories as to how they were actually captured, but they were captured, and they were sent first to a labor camp and then finally to the Auschwitz camp, where the father was the only one who survived. Anne Frank and all the others, her family and another family were killed. Anne actually and her sister died of typhus only about 3 weeks before the British liberated the camp.
Oh, dang it.
Yeah. The so what of that is people want to be given stuff. It's very seductive to have someone tell you they can give you everything. They can make whatever perceived wrongs there are right if you just give them the power to do so. And when you give someone who makes those kind of claims that kind of power, they will never give it back, and they will always take more. And the German people gave the Nazi Party that kind of power, and they took the freedoms not only of the German people, but of the entire continent of Europe.
So I think there's a truth there that needs to be reiterated, because we're not saying that lightly. The Jews did not fight back. There were small groups of fighter groups that tried to do something, that tried to stand up a little fighting party, but in the end, they laid down. They gave up. They gave up their homes and their families.
By then, there was no one left to help them. Every other right had already been stripped from them. What are they going to fight back with?
And so, let's tie that real quickly right in with 2020 Democrats.
Go for it.
Because that's exactly what they want to do. And I'm not saying that lightly. They do want to take away our rights. And they want to replace it with what they're calling freebies, right? Free college, free healthcare. If you're a minority, for some reason you deserve free handouts as well, I guess. I don't know what that means. I mean, if you're a white male Christian in America these days, I feel like we're minorities. So do we get handouts too?
No.
Everybody else is. Come on. Give me a piece of that freebie.
Someone has to pay for the freebies.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be us, I guess. Yeah. So the 2020 Democrats, they have had 2 debates so far. And the only so what about that is, thank goodness it's over.
That was painful.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, I didn't watch the whole thing. There's no way I'm going to devote that amount of time.
We will wade into the stupid on your behalf, but oh my gosh.
That's like life-threatening stupid.
That was bad.
So I did catch a lot of the highlights, and my favorite was Tulsi or something.
Oh, Tulsi Gabbard.
Yes, when she went after Kamala Harris. Oh, she
Yes,
gave it to that
ma'am.
woman.
Yes,
Oh.
that was delicious.
Good stuff. Oh, man, that was great. All
What
right.
do you got? What's next?
Next is, I just want to touch real quickly on Baltimore because that hasn't gone away. So Baltimore, if you don't remember from last episode, they now have the highest crime in America. They have the second highest homicide rate. So highest crime, second homicide rate. And again, they're beating out cities like Chicago, LA, and New York. But also what is going on in that state in Maryland is that when the state goes liberal most of the time, left, right?
Yep.
The Democrats. However, it's like most states that do lean that way, that turn blue. Yes, they win the majority of the vote by numbers, but counties outside of your major cities still vote conservative. They will always, not always, they still lean towards a conservative view. So in Maryland, there's 24 counties. 17 of those went to Donald Trump, which means Hillary only won 7. And of course, Baltimore is one of them, and that's why she carried not only the popular vote in that state, but nationwide.
Yep.
Because she carries Chicago, LA, New York.
Yep.
And so that's why you get the popular vote. You get those big cities.
Absolutely. And then why even bother with places like Potatoeville, Idaho?
Yeah. Why even care about us?
Our vote doesn't count, or
Exactly.
wouldn't.
So thank goodness for the Electoral College.
Amen.
That's the so what out of that, is that you get places like Baltimore, and we are literally dumping billions of dollars. I'm not making that up. They got over $3.5 billion, billion with a B, from the federal government in the past 2 years.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, what are they doing with it?
I could buy a lot of potatoes with that.
That's a lot of potato bars.
Right?
Yummy, yummy.
I'm saying.
Okay.
Be good.
Okay, let's dive into mass shootings. It's time.
Oh, all right. I don't really want to talk about the shootings yet. I want to talk about the after effects that came around today and over the weekend, because I hate talking about shooters. I don't like it. I'll never say their names. I'll never say a word about their manifestos. What I want to talk about is the response. Liberal response is typical, right? Take away all assault weapons.
Assault. Ban military guns.
Ban military guns. Why? And that was the mayor of Dayton.
Yeah.
She came on and she was talking, there's no reason for military weapons to be in the hands of the civilians.
Mm-hmm. What's a military weapon?
I hate to say it, ma'am, but that's literally the point of the Constitution, is for the civilian populace to be able to resist tyranny. And what you're proposing is literally tyranny. I don't understand your motivation. I understand your heartache. I understand your need to provide a sense of justice for your people. I get that, and I respect your willingness to do that. I truly do. But you're focusing on the wrong area. People say, "Oh, the problem is assault weapons." No, I guarantee you that the assault weapon did not plan this. It didn't jump up and hold itself to that guy's head and make him do these things. Same in Texas. That dude drove 8 or 10 hours from Dallas to frickin' El Paso to do that. The gun didn't drive him there. It's just a tool. It is just a tool in the hands of an evil person. And you cannot fight evil by disarming good people.
Yes. And places like London have proved that, where they've actually taken away the guns from the citizens.
Yeah.
So sure, they have
The
like
British National Pistol Team has to train in France. Think about that.
in France. That'll be great training.
Right?
So, but London, they can boast that they have the lowest gun death of all major cities across the globe,
Sure.
but they still boast the highest homicide rate.
Yeah, they're up there.
Yeah, their next move is to take away knives, because people are still dying by hammers and bats and knives,
Yep.
right? Or fisticuffs.
So that is my problem, is with red flag laws. That was it was first proposed. The first person I saw this weekend come out in favor of red flag laws was actually Dan Crenshaw.
Who we love.
We
Not
do.
so much.
I do.
Kind of butthurt about that.
I am actually really disappointed in him. If you're not aware of what red flag laws are, it's the law where a person can call in and report dangerous behavior of a neighbor, of really anyone. And then that person has their firearms taken away from them until they can prove that they are sane and get them back. There is literally nothing constitutional about this. That violates 3 different amendments, at least that I can think of off the top of my head. That's your Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms, your Fourth Amendment right against unreasonable search and seizure, and your Sixth Amendment right to due process.
Due process. That's the big one.
You know, it's got the system completely backwards. It goes, you are charged with a crime, you are tried by a jury of your peers. If you are convicted of that crime, then punitively your property may be confiscated from you. Usually to pay damages for whatever crime you did. This has that completely reversed. This is, your property is taken from you, then you are asked to prove you are innocent of a crime you haven't even committed yet. There's no associated crime. That's the entire point of the Sixth Amendment. Mm-hmm. You have to have committed a crime. This is someone thinks you might be dangerous. I could call it on anybody. I could call it on you.
Yeah. And it has happened.
I probably should for the way he drives, but that aside.
You think my driving's that dangerous? It's lethal? Or am I just that good?
No.
We get it.
No.
So I want to point out that this just isn't theoretical. We're not talking hypotheticals here because this has happened. Again, I'm going to go back to Maryland in 2018. This happened. They have red flags laws in that state.
Yep.
So law enforcement in Maryland had 114 red flag warrants. 114. Meaning that 114 people called in and said, I don't trust this person with a gun. My neighbor, my friend, family member, whoever. So the cops were the ones that had to go out and serve these warrants and confiscate their weapons. Now, for Joe and the Jarhead, our response is, come and get them. Nice try. And that's what one guy did. Two.
One in Atlanta as well.
Oh, I did not know. So the cops showed up, tried to take their guns, they refused, and they got shot in the process.
Yep.
Trying to strip them of their rights.
Yep. That's Eighth Amendment as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Cruel and unusual.
Cruel and unusual punishment. No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Where was the due process?
Couple quick more stats to go in line with this, because I don't like how we get two big incidents, one in Dayton and one in El Paso, that come within 24 hours of each other. Yes, it's a big deal. Yes, we should be talking about it. But guess what has happened recently? Last Monday, a week ago, 2 people were shot in a Walmart in Mississippi. Last Sunday was the Garlic Festival.
Yep.
That was fun. In May, 12 people died at the government building in Virginia Beach.
Yep.
That hit especially close for us because that was related to our work.
Yep.
And in April, the anti-Semite in California that killed 1.
Yep.
So those all happened very recently. But to top it all off, folks, my favorite stat, 40 people, 40, in just the past weekend were shot in Chicago.
Yep.
Shot. Only 7 of them died, but 40 people shot. You cannot find a better place in America to look at and be like, who's got the strictest gun control laws? Chicago. And they still have 40 people getting shot. So what Joe is saying is spot on. They have completely obliterated all the amendment rights there in Chicago.
Yeah, they got nothing.
And they are killing all the mass, they top all the mass shootings. More people getting shot in Chicago than all these stats I just gave you in the past 3 months. You can combine all the mass shootings together, they're still not topping the strongest, strictest gun control laws in America in Chicago. You lose.
Yeah, you cannot. Yeah. Yeah.
You lose that fight. More gun control laws, red flag laws are not the answer. We have proven that.
And it's, if it was just Dan Crenshaw saying that, that would be bad. The President of the United States just called for A, red flag laws, B, banning of violent video games, and C, coordination with social media sites to help flag people.
Because that's what you want.
Yeah.
We've talked about that before.
Literally, like the people who invented invasion of privacy. But we're supposed to coordinate with them and trust them that they're not going to skew us.
Yeah, we're going to trust the people who've already been sued for fined $5 billion. Talking to you, Facebook, for privacy violations. We're going to trust you with helping us with red flag. Good move.
The problem I have, the real problem I have, is that the president is meant to be a check on Congress. If Congress passes red flag laws, it is the duty of the president to veto those. Uh-huh. If the Congress proposes laws like the Patriot Act, which is warrantless espionage on U.S. citizens, or Facebook cooperated espionage on U.S. citizens, it's the duty of the president to not enforce that law, to knock that law down. But he's the one proposing it.
Yeah, scary stuff. And so let's tie this all the way back to this week in history, right? Because it's not going to be, you look at history and you think of, okay, the Nazis just came down with an iron fist. No, it was little by little. They nudged them until they had no rights. This is exactly what's going on now. You start nudging in with these red flag laws, and you start claiming, oh, we're not going to take your weapons unless you're seriously mental health. You have serious mental health
But who
issues.
determines that?
Yeah, who's the guy who's making that decision?
Is that a court-mandated psychiatrist determining that?
Lawyers in Congress?
Well, it has to be, only a doctor can find you mentally incompetent to own a gun. But if you're a court-mandated psychiatrist or psychologist, do you really want to be the guy who let a mass shooter, who declared a mass shooter competent to own a gun? Of course not. So your default is always going to be find a reason to deny this man or this woman a right to own guns. Because your career is over if you let go the next freaking Walmart shooter. If you say they're good to own a gun.
Okay, so let's wrap this all up in a tight little bow, because there's a lot of things that can be done, a lot of little steps to prevent things like this. I think the easiest answer for strong conservatives, people who really support the Second Amendment, is to say, if you don't want to be a victim of a Walmart shooting or a Dayton, Ohio shooting, go get a gun, learn how to use it, and defend yourself. Real simple, real quick answer. But back up a couple steps. There's the biggest answer and the most easiest answer that we believe that America needs to start doing to prevent this is to bring Jesus Christ back into our lives.
Absolutely, yes. By all means. And that's actually in my show notes. By all means, shoot back, return fire, get a gun, get trained, learn how to use it judiciously, know your gun laws in your area, and stay within those. That is quick and easy Band-Aid, stop the hemorrhage fix right now. That addresses only the symptom, though. That doesn't address the problem. The problem is the prevalence of evil in the hearts of men. A gun isn't going to solve that.
No. You don't want a Band-Aid fix for that.
No.
There's a heal-all, there's a cure-all for that.
Yes.
And so we need to go back to church. We need to be reading the scriptures in our home, talking about Jesus. We can no longer be ashamed to preach of him or to teach of him. It will cure these problems. It will solve these problems.
I would say nothing else will. It's not just that he's a really good answer. He's the only 100% guaranteed effective solution. Period.
Yep. Agreed.
All right.
All right. Other things in the news that everybody's missing. Iran. They have seized another tanker in the Strait of Hormuz. This is now the third one. And if you remember, they did seize one of the British ships. They kept it. Mm-hmm. They took 20 plus prisoners out of that ship. Mm-hmm. Have you heard anything else from that?
Not really, no.
Because they still have that ship and they still have the prisoners. What the mother heck are you doing, England? They've had that ship and those prisoners for over a week. What to what?
No.
Right?
No.
Shame on you. Shame
what
on
are
you.
you doing?
Go get your freaking people.
Why are there not Royal Marines commandos storming literally every building in Tehran right now?
Unsat.
Why is their government headquarters not a smoking pile of wreckage?
Oh, that's just despicable. Yeah.
No, no excuse.
This needs to be done. We need to go over there and we need to police more. We need to get proactive about policing that area. This one that they just seized now, it wasn't another British ship. It was an Iraqi ship, but still.
Well, they have a history.
Iraq and Iran.
Iraq and Iran, they might have a small level of animosity toward one another, going back a while.
Like BC time.
Yeah.
Yep. So what there is that like we always say, because Iran sneaks into all our shows, they're the bad guys.
They really are.
And the only language they speak is what now?
Strength and violence. If you project weakness, they will treat you as a victim. That is the Eastern mindset.
And we've tried other routes, right? We've tried having talks. We've tried paying them off with pallets of cash.
That doesn't work.
Nope. We've proven that.
The only effective negotiating strategy with that kind of republic and that kind of government is to put your boot on their throat and tell them how it's going to be. Believe it or not, that's actually effective.
Yeah.
It's a dog pack mentality. Once you establish yourself as the lead dog, the other dogs fall into line. That's how it works. That's how it's always worked.
Yep. That's a quote I'm actually going to steal from Ender's Game, is that you have to win that fight with Iran so that you win the next fight after that. Mm-hmm. Who's going to be the next enemy after Iran? Well, we don't need to know if we beat Iran now. Put your boot on their throat now.
Yes.
Okay. Next is Hong Kong, because that hasn't stopped either. It has actually gotten worse. So you remember back, Hong Kong passed a new law that they're now allowing their own citizens to be extradited to China. Obviously, you don't want that.
No.
Extra-dutied to China.
They'll be in some extra duty once they get there.
Deep duty. So, I mean, the protests have not stopped. They've gotten really violent, and for good cause. I don't usually promote violence, but when your legislators are not listening to you, they've got to listen somehow. And so those protesters taking over,
extraditing you to a communist country where you have no rights other than what the government allows you to have. Why would you not fight back?
Yeah.
That was literally the source of the American Revolution, is people being denied their rights.
So for me, when I try to bring this home and try to relate this to us, it's like the federal government being okay with California coming into Potatoeville, Idaho, and saying, we're going to start prosecuting you based on California laws. Some people say, well, that's quite a stretch. No, it's not. That's exactly what's going on in Hong Kong. China stepping in and saying, you're doing what you want there, but we're still going to prosecute you for our crimes.
Yeah. And that was Britain handing it back over in 97. It was essentially an autonomous province of China.
Hong Kong was.
Mm-hmm. And then when the British handed it back in 97, China knows the value of Hong Kong as a cash cow. Like, they financed the entire Chinese economy.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And the problem is that when you give people freedom, they don't want to let it go. When China's been sitting there since when Hong Kong's been sitting there since the Communist Revolution, looking at all their people just across the bay getting squashed by China, and now they're going to be subject to the same thing, I'd fight back too.
Yeah, exactly. So what's happening now is Hong Kong is the city is shut down. These protesters have blocked all the subways. You can't get on a subway. The flight attendants are protesting, so flights are shut down. So
good.
Buses, public transportation, nobody can get to work. So yeah, when I say the city shut down, that's what I mean.
So what's going to happen next when China smashes them like they smashed everybody else?
What will happen next?
You're going to have to see, because China cannot be defied. The Chinese government cannot be defied. It's the same with any communist government. If they lose face, if they're seen to be weak, that's it. Their whole system collapses. They have to be supreme. I would expect very soon you will see another incident reminiscent of Tiananmen Square, where they just go in with tanks and just crush everyone that doesn't surrender.
Yeah.
I would be very surprised if we don't see that.
Don't give up, Hong Kong.
Nope.
Keep fighting. Okay, last one I want to talk about is India. And this one is scaring the pants off me. It really is. We have talked about Kashmir before. Mm-hmm. Kashmir is a province smashed right in between Pakistan and India. It's a Muslim-controlled territory, and when Britain gave back India and Pakistan, they gave it based on the religious sects. So India went to the Hindus, Pakistan went to the Muslims, and Kashmir was supposed to go to the Muslims, but there was a tribal warfare, so it actually went to India, but it's Muslim-controlled. And there's like a line that goes straight through Kashmir, dotted line that separates two territories, and it's scary as heck. I mean, you got armed guards within inches of each other's face at that line, at those gates, roadways to cross into each other's territory, right? Yep. And so what India just did is that they now claimed Kashmir has no gray area because it used to be autonomous, right?
Right.
They had their own flag, their own system,
right,
their own financial stuff. Nope, not anymore. India says Kashmir's now ours. You have no more flag.
It used to be that way, and then they allowed it to be an autonomous region, and now they're just revoking that autonomy.
Yep, revoking. So it's Article or Bill 370, whatever you want to call it is, whatever it is, 370 something. So now they're allowing. So Indians now want to move into that place because it's another cash cow over there. A lot of stuff coming out of there.
It is an extraordinarily resource-rich area.
So the Indians want to move in there. They want to settle. And they want to build businesses, and they are a rich enough country that they can do it, and they will do it. However, Pakistan is not going to take this sitting down.
Nope.
And what scares me is that they're both nuclear-powered countries.
Yes.
Why, Britain, did we ever allow that to happen?
Britain was an American ally, and when we proliferated nuclear weapons, when we handed out the nuclear secrets to our allies to stand with us against the Soviets, Britain, I got nothing. I have no idea why you would give nuclear weapons to either one of those countries. I mean, clearly you can't give nuclear weapons to just one. If you give it to just Pakistan, they'll nuke the crap out of India.
Yep.
If you give it to just India, Pakistan glows in the dark. They have hated each other since Islam came into the area. And like, by way of example, when Britain partitioned India and Pakistan, they divided and conquered. All right, all you Muslims living in India, go up north to Pakistan. All you Hindus living in Pakistan, come down to India. We're going to split you guys in half and keep you guys separate and keep the peace that way. Mm-hmm. Throughout the entire American Civil War, we killed about 600,000 of each other over 4 years with rifles, primitive machine guns, artillery, the most modern weapons available. It took us 4 years of war to do that. Mm-hmm. Where Hindus moving south and Muslims moving north met along the India-Pakistan border, they killed 600,000 of each other in a year with farm tools. Like, I cannot overstate the hatred between these two groups. So why you would give either one of them, let alone both, nuclear weapons, I can't even fathom that.
That is so barbaric.
It is absolute barbarism.
So this scares me because India is bold enough that they're not going to back down. They're going to follow up on their word.
Correct.
And Pakistan, like I said, they're not going to take this lightly. And Pakistan has proved themselves, like Iran, they have intent. And Iran is the number one sponsor of terrorism on the globe. Number 2, in my opinion, would probably be Pakistan. Close second.
Well, that's where the Taliban go. That's where the Taliban originated. That's where they go to spend the winters so they can come back in the spring and fight us.
So it's not a far stretch.
No, they're an Islamic republic. They owe allegiance to Islam more than to anything else.
Yep, more than a peace with India.
And I personally don't have a qualm against Islam when it's practiced by people who practice it their own way. But when it's a top-down theocracy like it is in Pakistan or Iran or Saudi Arabia, it tends to get fundamentalist real quick, and that goes bad 100% of the time.
For everyone,
yep,
except for the people at the top. Okay, so the so what there is that we need to keep a close eye on this, because if it gets heated over there, which I believe that it will, it's going to get heated real fast. It's not going to be quick nudges. Somebody's going to fight back, somebody's going to die, and it's going to be bombs on bombs.
Yep.
And I don't want to get involved. Back up.
Nope.
Y'all handle y'all own business.
Yeah, you do you. I'll be over here not engaging in that.
No thanks. Boom!
Is that it?
Platoon, we love you guys. You guys have been great.
We do.
We really do appreciate your guys' support.
Absolutely.
So, if you feel the need, if you feel like you want to share us on social media or go find us on patreon.com, we would really appreciate that.
Please do.
We're trying to take this farther. So
please do. Y'all have a good evening. We love you. Platoon dismissed.
Semper Fi.
Yep.
Knife hands. Whoop-a-cha!
No. I don't trust yours. Put those away.
They're pretty deadly.
I'll red flag law you.
Yeah.
You have to wear oven mitts all the time now. Take away your
damage
hands.
will still be done. Boy, we really knocked their teeth in.
Can we pause for a second? You guys can just move our soapbox out of here real quick.
Keep it on pause.
Really?
Yeah.
You're lucky we live in Idaho. That straw wouldn't be allowed in California. It's made of plastic.
I see what you did there. Oh, good stuff.
You seem like the most illegal thing ever, and it's a 30-round magazine loaded with plastic straws.
You deserve that, California.
Yes, you did.